Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I'd like to start with a quote. The ears of the leader must ring with the voices of the people. Great president once said that. Mr. President, I rise today to make it clear to everyone in this chamber exactly why I cannot support this legislation. You've heard the chants outside this chamber, not just today and last night, but many times over the past 2 years. Thousands of people have shown up, union and non-union, men and women, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, even their children. These are the working families of Michigan. These are the thousands of people that I would sit here to represent. When I vote no, I'm voting no on behalf of the thousands of families. Who are you voting yes for? Grover Norquist? I know he sent you all a letter asking you to support this anti-worker legislation. You are voting yes because a handful of corporate lobbyists, a handful of fat cats in the back are telling you to. That's who you work for, the powerful few, the guys with top hats and monocles. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I work for the people, for the many. I proudly represent them in casting this no vote. I'm doing what's right, what's good for the people. And I tell you this, Mr. President, we will fight you. We will not let this stand. We'll fight you from Kalamazoo to Timbuktu. We'll fight you from the streets and in the suites. We'll fight you in the pit house and we'll fight you in the outhouse. And Mr. President, I'll tell you this right now, when it's all said and done, when it's all over, we will grab the thunderbolt of truth. We will grab the rod of revolution and we will have our victory. And the spoils will go to the working people of Michigan. And you will forever remember the day when you thought you could conquer labor. You were sorely mistaken. Be prepared to engage in the fight of your life. You might win this battle, but the wars are brewing, sir. The wars are brewing, sir. And we're coming, and we're taking no prisoners, and we're taking no quarter. And Mr. President, when all said is done, working men and women of this state will reign supreme. Thank you, and I ask that my comments be printed in the journal.
Hello and welcome to. Am I on? No, I think I'm still. Oh, okay. Well, hello and welcome to this special edition of The Young Effect. I am your host, Coleman Alexander Young II. Always a pleasure to be broadcasting with you live right here on TV 33 WHPR. The numbers for you to call in on the bottom of the screen, 313-868-0351, 313-868-4336, 313-868-4336, 313-868-0351, right here at the bottom of the screen. To our graphics team, thank you so much for that. Also, I just wanted to say, it don't matter where you watch it from. You watch from your home, your living room. You can be outside, cue it up. It's awfully beautiful outside right now. Wherever you at, listen, you could be on lockdown. Wherever you at, you can be all around the world watching us at www.tv33whpr.com. That's www.tv33whpr.com. We just want to say we love you. We appreciate you. We consider you to be family right here on The Young Effect. That being said, as always, we want to honor our local heroes, our police, our fire, our emergency service personnel for the thankless task of keeping us safe. And we also want to thank our military men and women who are risking the ultimate sacrifice of their lives for our freedoms we so do richly enjoy right here in the good old U.S. of A. So that being said, please join me for a moment of silence as I honor the fallen, whether they be here locally, whether they be police or fire, and all the victims of violence and gun violence out there in the streets of Detroit. We love you. We praying for you. And I'm fighting every day to make sure that we stop this from happening. Because one life is one life too many. All the children, everyone who's lost their life, we love you. We appreciate you. All the families out there, we love you. Please join me for a moment of silence. All right, thank you so much for that. And with that being said, we're going to get right into it. If you got any phone calls you want to make, please make the calls now. And it's open mic. Anything you want to say or do, we'd be willing to take your call. Look, I want to jump right into this today. I want to talk about what's going on recently. I don't know if anybody's heard what's happening over here in Nashville. There has been a recent shooting, a man by the name of Travis Renking from Illinois, drove 450 miles to Tennessee, where he shot and killed 3 people with an AR-15. And from my understanding, he was barred because he had to have a license. He didn't have a license to own a gun, so he was banned from being able to have an AR-15, banned from being able to have that gun in Illinois. But his family members were not. And so they were able to get this gun. And then he took that gun, from my understanding, and then he went to Nashville, Tennessee, and fired at this Waffle House. Now, this is a young man. He's only 29 years old. The Waffle House mass shooting, as what it's being called now. And there was another heroic 29-year-old patron at the dinner that was able to stop the gunman and wrestle the gun away from him. This is something that is continuing to happen throughout this country. And it's the issue of gun violence. And I'm going to say this. I think we need to make sure that we have universal background checks. I think we need to make sure that we also have, and we ban AR-15s. There's no reason why you need to be buying a weapon of war to hunt anything. And we need to ban these high-capacity magazines. Why do you need a 100-round drum to hunt geese? You don't. We need a gun registry to make sure we know who these folks are that have guns. And we also need to make sure that we do a better job, and I personally think that we should mandate that states submit their mental health records to the federal government. Right now, Michigan is we are a partial point of contact state. So that means we have our own background check system. It's called the LEAN system, or the Law Enforcement Information Network. And basically, people who have been deemed by a court to be unfit, a danger to themselves and to others, and are called prohibited possessors of being able to have firearms. We have data in our system that we're not sharing with the federal government. We are only 1 out of 5 states that does not share that information. We should be required by law to share that information. And I also think we need a federal anti-gun trafficking law. We don't have that at the federal level. You have that at state levels in terms of straw purchases, so people who buy guns legally and then give them to people that shouldn't have them illegally, or who buy guns legally and then sell them illegally. We have that at state level. We don't have that at the national level. And we should. Because a lot of these guns people are getting illegally. And I'm telling you, there is no reason why this young man, who obviously went in there wearing nothing but a green coat, So he was green jacket. So so he was practically naked when he went in there doing this. Now he was last seen with no shirt with black pants, not too far away from the crime. I said from the crime scene. But this is serious. And there's no reason why we can't have sensible laws in order to stop this, as well as sensible laws for gun crimes here. Because you got to remember, the guns that we get here come from Indiana, they come from Tennessee, they come from, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Alabama, and they come from Ohio. All states with loose gun laws. We got some callers. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect.
Praise the Lord. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Oh, I'm truly blessed, and I see you looking well.
Thank you.
I want to ask you one
Hello,
thing.
Miss
You-
Watson.
no.
Can
I
you
just want to say
tell
hello, Miss
me
Watson. I love you
how
very much.
the
Mwah.
Can't be coming
Democratic
on here unless you're going to be
Party
on the
up
show.
there in Lansing can get together with some of the Republicans and help out Flint? They should get that water.
That's terrible.
I'm serious.
That's
It's a
terrible.
life and death situation.
That's
People
terrible.
dying, they're sick, and even the one that the Republican is running for governor is against the governor, the current
Shooting.
governor.
Yeah, he said he's against that too. Yeah, I thought it was
Can't
terrible.
we do something?
And it's unnecessary. Listen, here's what I'm gonna do. I've been so focused on trying to get $30 million for the airport and trying to get more school counselors after these school shootings and trying to get more money for implicit bias training for police officers. I'm sure you're familiar with what happened with young Stephon Clark, who was shot, in the back in his mother's backyard in I think it was Sacramento, California. So I'm very well aware of what's going on with that. I'll probably make sure I'll probably think about providing an amendment on the floor of the Senate to see if we can bring back water to the people of Flint. That's probably something I'm going to talk to my Democrat colleagues about later on. But these are things that I've been trying to do just up there now, trying to make sure that Wayne State gets the same amount of increase in funding that every other university did, because we didn't receive that this year. So these are things that I've been trying to do while I've been up there on the Appropriations Committee. So we will definitely see so I'll probably introduce an amendment on the floor of the Senate talking about Flint
I feel
water.
so much better because I know you can handle things. And I want you to know I'm praying for you and keep up the good work.
I most certainly will. Love you. Appreciate
Bye-bye.
you. We're going to have you come on. Have another caller. Yes.
Happy Sunday.
Hello.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
I enjoyed your on the show with Mildred and with that Sam Riddle.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I called in. I'm always kind of militant with my comments.
Yeah, you were.
I really enjoyed it. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
You was clear cut. You was a straight no chaser. I love it.
Good. Well, listen, I love that you called in. Let me say this, too. When you called in, it was one of the few times where they all kind of were quiet. You know what I'm saying? Usually they were talking over each other and talking over me. So
And playing me back on Saturdays and Sundays. I said, no wonder I got pulled over by the cops twice. Had to go to court twice.
wow.
I be talking about all the looters in Detroit.
So I'm
I
glad
love
when you called
keep
in.
up the good work. You know you got my vote.
Love you.
All right, I'll be listening.
Appreciate you, Gordon. We got another caller? Hello?
Hi, it's Kathy from the East Side.
Hey, Kathy, what's going on?
Just a couple of things. I went to that Michigan Democratic Convention last weekend, and I was just thoroughly disappointed.
Why?
It's just not together. It's just messy. It's not organized. You know,
What do you mean?
they
Explain that a little bit.
they supported all these white women, and not to say that Miles, who's running for Attorney General or whatever what's his title? What is
He's
his
running. He's
title?
running for. You talking about Pat Miles, who's running for Attorney General?
Right.
Yeah.
He's not as exciting as watching paint dry on the wall. So, and even though the UAW supported him, it didn't matter. So
Well, listen.
it's
Go
just
ahead.
unorganized. When I went to the 13th district, they parade all these crazy people who shouldn't have been there, and I just was very disappointed, very unorganized. We are not together as a party, and it's just sad. It's just sad. And then secondly, you were talking about the shooter at the Waffle House.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for a black young man who took the gun away from the shooter, because
Yeah.
it would have been more people shot and killed if it wasn't for him. You know, and let's see how long it's going to take before they find this white kid who was butt naked, butt brown. How long are they going to take before they find him? Are they going to shoot him down like they do our black men? I am just so upset. You know, the Starbucks situation with the two young black men just
Yeah,
sitting
that was
there
terrible.
minding their business.
They were
the police
there
were
for
called
a
on that.
business meeting, and
So
they
you're gonna get
escorted them
arrested while
out of the
walking in black.
building. Go ahead.
It's disheartening. And we need someone who is serious to be in D.C. No more show off, no more what I can do. What have you done for us, for the city, and for the state? And you are the only one that's running for Congress that has that background. You have my vote. Bless you. And we'll see you on the ballot.
All right. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for taking my
much,
call.
Kathy. Love you. Appreciate you. And yeah, listen, I'm hearing that too. You know, I'm hearing people who are upset about the all-female ticket. Listen, I think that we have a tremendous opportunity to be able to win. And some people say that we can't win and not going to win. Most people aren't going to vote for that. I don't look personally. If our message is together, and if we are doing what we need to do towards an organization, and if we're unified and we come together, I think we can win this thing. I really do. I think that we can reach out to a lot of people. I think we can fire up that female base. I think it just depends on what the message is and how we're reaching out to. I think Dana Nessel won because Dana Nessel represents where the party and the country is going. And Pat Miles represented what the party was. And I think that's the difference. And you can't reach towards the future when you got both hands wrapped around the past. And that's what it looked like right now. This was a generational shift that happened. This was a complete and total more progressive look at the party. I think this is not the issue. People talk about the issue of marijuana, but I really think this is about the issue of ending the drug war and the devastation that it has caused, not just the African American community and the Latino community. 1 out of 3 black men are expected to go to prison in their lifetime. 1 out of 6 Latinx men are expected to go to prison in their lifetime. Latino men, are expected to go to prison in their lifetime. All that, most of that stems from the drug war. And everybody knows that. That it was spent billions upon billions of dollars in a policy that was created by law in terms of a social political engineering based on racism and profiteering off of incarceration. That's what this is. And I just think that it's outrageous, quite frankly, that we're really still having this debate, knowing the fact that we are sending thousands of African American men and women, thousands of Latino men and women. Even, and you don't necessarily have to be convicted, or it necessarily have to be, you don't necessarily actually have to commit the crime in order to be locked up for it. African Americans are 12 times more likely to be wrongfully convicted for a drug crime, wrongfully convicted in this country for a drug crime. That is what it is. Not to mention the fact you have a lot of people with my Caucasian brothers and sisters who are tired of being arrested for possession of medicine. We all know about what marijuana can do for people, whether it's for pain, whether it's for MS, ALS, it's multiple sclerosis, ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease, whether it's for hyperthyroidism, whether it's for PTSD, whether it's for epilepsy. These are things that marijuana has been used to treat. And studies have shown that it's worked. And more studies are coming out showing that marijuana is less harmful than the drugs that are currently legal now. And let's remember, the guy who started the war, the Nixon administration, his key top advisor, said that the reason why marijuana should be prohibited is because we have a problem with two people. One is Negroes and hippies. We can't do anything about them because they're Negroes and hippies, but we can lock them up for marijuana and cocaine. That's what he said. Then he said we can surveil their meetings, we can raid their homes, we can arrest their leaders, and we can vilify them on the nightly news. Did we know that the war on drugs was a lie? Of course we did. That came from Nixon's chief top advisor, his brain trust, if you will. So, now people dismiss this as saying clumsy things about race. That was not clumsy. That was malevolent and insidious and oppressive. That's what it was. And we have more black people in prison today than there were slaves during the Civil War. More black men in prison today. Another caller? Caller, you're on the air, Walton Young Effect.
Good evening, State Senator.
Hey.
How are you?
Good.
That's good. Okay, I just want to piggyback on something that you had said maybe a few weeks ago about our babies need to go to school. Mm-hmm. So I just want to let everyone know that if you know anyone that lives in the 48204 zip code and the 48208 zip code, that they can go up to Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, which is on Grand River and West Grand Boulevard. The Matrix Center now has openings for those babies from 3 years old and up. And
all right, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that phone call.
You're so welcome. You have a wonderful day, okay?
Love you. Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye now. Another caller? Turn your TV down.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
When you was talking about the Democrat Party, I've been seeing for the last 25 years before. Ain't no unity in the party. I've been when Amos Williams ran for Attorney General, my chief for President, Steve Hicks, I said, how are you going to support Mike Cox and they're going to support Amos Williams and he's a Democrat? Oh, we're going to support Mike Cox. He got more experience. Them suburbs in the state of Michigan, not all over the whole country, the Michigan Democrat Party was always racist. Even Coleman Young back in 72 or 73 when he ran for president, they supported it. Justin Rabbit or Mayor Rabbit. I know I voted back then. I was about 18. UAW didn't endorse him. So all I'm saying is the Michigan, now they got all these problems with the Democratic Party. I'm looking for the Republicans the win when the election comes in November. They ain't got it together here. They do not got it together. I know you campaigning. You got a chance to do your thing. That's fine. But the rest of them Democrats, I've worked with many of them for the last 40 years. They don't care about nothing black. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call. I appreciate that. I mean, people, and that's how a lot of folks feel, man. A lot of people are upset about what's going on with the party. Look, I think it depends on who the LG is. I really believe it depends on who their LG pick is, and I think that'd be a good thing. Let me say this though too. I also no LG. Yeah, see, we gonna have you come on next week, and then, but that's the lieutenant governor pick. Let me say this too. When you're talking about in terms of reaching out, we need to do a better job, I think, of reaching out to the black community. However, I think that again, it just depends on what the message is and what she says and how she says it. Being whether it be as the Attorney General Nessel says it and what she's saying. And I don't agree that all the people from the UAW voted for Pat Miles. I think there's people with the UAW who voted for Nessel too. And let me say this, just like when you were talking about Coleman Young, there were a lot of people locally in the city who were with the UAW that went and voted for my father. Even though the organization as a whole, the leadership didn't support or endorse, but a lot of folks on the ground did. And so I think that's what you're having now. You're having that type of generational shift. I think that she's going to have to reach out to the black community because a lot of people are real sore about this. A lot of people are real sore about what happened. But I think this is just the issue of priorities. And I think that the drug war, I think that mass incarceration, that the prisoner industrial complex has been one of the most devastating things ever to happen to the black community. And so I think for people to say, just because I think for people who are supporting this issue, I think there's a real way in which you can make inroads with the black community if you tell them the facts and if you are honest with them about that. And I think that there's other issues that we need to deal with in terms of jobs, job training, in terms of apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeship programs, in terms of independent prosecutors to prosecute these police officers who violate the law and who kill our young people. You know, I think there's different things that we need to be doing in order to address those concerns, you know, whether it be body cameras or in terms of having a more robust policy or implicit bias training or independent prosecutions, so that way you can take it out of the hands of the county prosecutors and police officers, because they generally tend to work together. And I had a bill to do that. I still think I reintroduced that bill that does that. So these are things that we can do in order to make sure that we have laws on the books, as well as getting rid of mandatory minimums, as well as ending the prohibition of marijuana. These are things that I think that we can be doing, as well as getting rid of some of these loitering laws, or at least reevaluating some of these laws that they have that are being used to oppress black folks that I think are draconian in the way they're being implemented. I think these are the things that we should start doing and talking about in order to help black folks, as well as jobs and opportunities, as well as tuition-free college, as well as affordable child care. Because you have a lot, especially in Detroit, a lot of black women who are heads of households. They should be talking about the earned income tax credit. They should be talking about having a child care tax credit. These are things that we should be talking about on the state and on the federal level. Another caller? Call you on the air.
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity to talk. But what I hear from you is a common theme of giving stuff away for free and blaming the system for all you niggers committing crime. Don't you think that it was a problem and y'all have it so bad here? Y'all feel bad?
Wait. Say it. You breaking up. Repeat that again. I'm sorry, man. Say it one more time. You breaking up. Hello? Y'all couldn't hear what he said. Call back, man, because I was trying to hear what you said, but you was breaking up. You got a caller? Okay, so yeah, that's what we need to be doing. Listen, I only heard a piece of what he said, so I'm gonna say it like this. Look, I think that you got a lot of people who are working hard, who are working poor, who are trying to get ahead. I think in the fact that if you are living in a country where the average CEO pay is 360 times more than the average worker, that's not working person's fault. That's a system that needs to change. If you are a person who work, there's no reason why in America you work full time in the wealthiest country on earth and you can't make ends meet. If you work full time at a restaurant, you in the food service industry, there's no reason why we can't pay people $15 minimum wage. There's no reason. There's no reason why we don't have a federal government that's penalizing federal contractors or companies that infringe upon the rights of workers to be able to organize, that ban state laws that make it harder for people to be able to organize. These are some of the things that we should be talking about. And we don't have that right now. That's why I'm running. We need somebody that's going to fight to protect Social Security and SSI. Somebody that's going to fight to protect people's pensions. Because right now they're trying to do away with the fiduciary rule, which says that whoever you invest your nest egg with or your pension into has a responsibility to protect your pension first. They're trying to get rid of that, so now they have responsibility to their bottom line first. And your pension and savings, life savings, be damned. That's wrong. Fundamentally. We need to invest at the federal level in pre-apprenticeship programs. Because you got folks out there who want to work, who are looking for jobs, but who can't get them. They need to get those training. So they can get the training for the pre-apprenticeship so they can get the apprenticeship programs. And we need to expand the apprenticeship programs, working with the private sector and labor to get that done. And we also need to have mass transit so people can get to and from their job and back home. And we need to stop having this mentality, this myopic, pedestrian, pedantic, prehistoric mentality that somehow roads and mass transit are two different things. They're one and the same. You can't have good roads without mass transit. You can't have mass transit without good roads. They're both about getting people. There are two different methods for the same end, which is getting people to work and getting people back to work and moving goods and services, whether those services be products or whether it be capital, whether it be commodities or whether it be human capital. It's still two different means to the same end. Got another caller? Hello?
Yes. Happy Sunday. I just want to add that I just pray for the divine powers of intervention, of protection and direction that's coming around you. Because when you get into that seat, you're going to need all the direction and protection that it takes to take away these draconian laws and the racist policies that serve only the needs of the greed. Because as far as welfare, the reason why people are not getting reparations and restitutions is because the criminal elite is sucking up all the resources through their greed. They're taking away everything through them racist policies. So you definitely, when you get your seat, I just pray for the divine powers and orders to be in your direction and for your protection. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. The owner, the man, the myth, the legend just walked in here, R.J. Watkins, man. So, just want to say hey to the man real quick. So, yeah, come on. Come on by. This is your, okay. We're going to talk to Mom. You fine?
Hello. How are you?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Hey, there it is. There it is. He got on the strike suit today. That's the business suit. So listen, listen. You totally right. But let me say this: the root word of reparations is to repair. That's the root word. To fix what has been broken. There is no reason, after you've seen what happened with the Japanese community, with the internment camps, after with the my brothers and sisters who are Indians, and they were put in a doctrine of trust. There is no reason why black folks, after all this country has benefited from basically building the modern building blocks of the American economy and capitalism as we know today, which turned the country from mercantilism based on money from products to capitalism based on money, making money off of other people's labor. That came, one of the key building blocks of that was slavery. And to not receive reparations for that is wrong. This is about payment for services rendered. I don't understand why that's an issue, or how that cannot be an issue. So I totally agree with you 110%. We got another caller? We got another caller? Go ahead. Hello?
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. How are you?
Good.
I wanted to know if you were going to expand on the information about the Great Lakes, that pipeline that they've been talking about.
Yeah, Enbridge 5, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, they said that a tanker hit it or something of that nature, and they said there's a leak there. And the problem with that leak is that if that leak is over there now, sooner or later it's going to make its way up to where we're at, southeast Michigan. So, in the Great Lakes. So, yeah, it's an issue. I haven't really heard of what their plans are to fix it yet, but I know there's some plans in the works and bills they're working on doing to fix it now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But as I get more information, I will relay it back to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. We got another caller? Okay. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying earlier. These are things that we should be talking about. We should talk about rebuilding our roads. And we should use different materials, whether it's hickory, whether it's rubber, whether recycled materials. These are things we should be using so when we build these roads, they last longer. We should also be talking about making sure that we invest more in our roads, whether it be using public-private partnerships where we can, limited amount, whether it be at a national level, whether it be an infrastructure bank. These are tools that we should be using in order to make sure that we invest in our roads, in our bridges. And we also, I forgot to say, use high-performance concrete and bendable concrete in our roads as well for materials. Taking advantage of Tiger grants and everyday counts programs for innovation. We got another caller? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Brother Young, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. What's going on?
Well, this is Frederick Blackwell, and I was calling because I wanted to know. I want to support the future Congress. That is you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And my mama's gonna vote for you too. when you run for Congress.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. That's nice of you to say. Thank you so
Peace
much.
out.
I appreciate that. God bless you. Get the call. You look. You can support me financially at 269 Walker, Detroit, Michigan 48207, Suite 438. That's 269 Walker, Suite number 438, Detroit, Michigan 48207, Coleman Young for Detroit. That's Coleman Young for Congress. Coleman Young for Congress. Coleman Young for Congress at 269 Walker, Suite 438, Detroit, Michigan 48207. Okay? Appreciate you. Got another caller? Caller.
Yes.
What's going on? Hey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
I wanted to know when EMU, Eastern Michigan, cut those classes, was it a result of what the Trump administration did when they cut some funding? Because I saw the president of MIT on a show a while back, and he was saying he don't think the Trump administration understands education because they're losing so many millions of dollars because of it. And I wanted to know if that was the same problem with Eastern Michigan cutting their class.
I don't believe so. It possibly could be. I don't think it's the same reason why they're cutting their classes. I don't necessarily know in terms of the Eastern Michigan University situation. What I do know, though, as far as Wayne State is concerned, is that a lot of their tuition, they have to raise their tuition because their funds are being cut because of the tuition restraint formula that this state has implemented, which punishes Wayne State because they have a requirement where you have to graduate within 4 years. But people at Wayne State graduate longer because they work. It's a working university. You know what I mean?
Okay.
A working man's university. So I don't know if that's why EMU is cutting classes. It possibly could be. I think a lot of people are, quite frankly, losing money under this formula that they've done. And I think it's wrong. I mean, you have universities that are now just getting back to the levels of funding they were at 2010. And Wayne State University is not.
Okay. All right.
So
Thank you.
Thank you. So I mean, with that being said, that's why you talk about college. It's so important. You need to make sure that we have tuition-free college. That's something that's very important. No reason why you can't levy a tax on speculators in Wall Street to be able to raise the billions of dollars that you need in order to make college tuition-free. There's just no reason why we can't do that. And I support that. I'm a huge supporter of that. And I think that's something that we should do, and it's something that we've been doing. And so it's something that we should do. It's something that we used to do. I remember California, the University of I think in California, they used to provide that in the 80s. Because you have students who are saddled with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of debt right now. And the only experience that they have with the capitalist system is as a debtor, or the college experience is as a debtor, just to achieve the American dream. And I think it's just absurd. You have other countries that provide this. We need to make sure that we do more for child care and provide more money for child care so that people can afford it. I think we need to expand. Expand the child care tax credit, and we need to make it fully refundable. Expand the earned income tax credit. And I also think that this program that we have right now, in terms of this Medicare or Medicaid to work program, which I voted against, is ridiculous. Listen, if you have a job where you work, where your hours change. So if you have a job where you work either as a construction worker or as you work in the food service industry, where those hours change, and where you may not get a 28-hour work week per se, you know, you're not going to be able to qualify for Medicaid. And how many people do we know whose job it is looking for a job? And the only thing they have to keep them alive is Medicaid. And now you're going to cut it away from them. I just think it's a war on the poor, and I think it's wrong. And we are destroying the social safety net for the least of these. And we're assuming that people who are on Medicaid aren't working. 60% of the people in this state who have Medicaid work. 60%. And you're going to cut it from them? It's ridiculous. It's absurd. You got a call? Call, you on the air. Welcome to the Young Effect. Hello?
Hello?
You're on the air.
Yeah, Senator Young. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm blessed. Look, just a thought on the Flint situation.
Yeah.
I don't think we can possibly make enough noise for those people that are suffering up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that things should be prioritized, and that should be at the top of the list.
I just think it's absurd. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
The fact that you got folks that are, who have basically died, children who are neurologically damaged for life, and your response is going to be, we're going to take away free water, and it's something that he really didn't have to do. Something he didn't have to do.
Well,
he's only got a couple months left in his administration anyway.
And we seem to be brushing things under the rug. And I just think it's horrible, and we need to make more noise pertaining to that if it comes down to marches, walking, because the people up there in Flint, they seem like they're helpless, and nobody really cares about them.
Well, yeah, that's why I think I'm going to work with Jim Annick, who is our leader, and I'm going to see if I can propose an amendment on the floor to provide that
also,
service back.
And I don't want to be lengthy, but I think that the situation that you're dealing with Congress, we need to stop the fragmentation that we have in this city, because everybody's not going to win. They need to unite and get behind the strongest person, be honest about it, instead of fighting each other to go up there and represent us. Because you have to realize that this is another step up. We cannot go to Washington, D.C. with the Detroit mentality and step up there with the big boys. We're going into a new dynamics. And you are qualified to step up there, and everybody is standing on you, holding you down. They don't realize it. We don't need that many people on the ballot, because everybody's not going to win. That's why we lose so many times. They need to cut out the foolishness and get behind the strongest person. If it's you, it's you. But to have 10, 15 people trying to get in that position, they don't realize they're fragmenting us. And I'm sending my prayers to you, and so is my wife.
Well, I thank you. I appreciate you.
God bless you, man.
All right, love you, brother. All right, we got another caller. Hey, shh. Hey, y'all keep it down in there? Keep it down for me a little bit.
Good.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, last caller is absolutely right. All these people that's running, and that's the only one should get that spot for Congress is you. You know, it's designed for them to run. All these people, I won't call names out because I'm even doing a campaign in there. They are designed to do that. Keep you out and some Republican in that spot. Yeah, I know human behavior. Some of the people just looking for permanent position. Some of them need to go home. But you're absolutely right. The last caller is absolutely right. Get find one person, and we got to watch that office for governor. That's very important too. We got to get the right person there. Don't go by her either. And not only you hear about the shooting on the Lansing, some man went in a restaurant and shot the people. Man up at maybe somebody. So have a good day. I support you 100%.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, let's go. Caller, you on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Okay, I want to talk about...
oh, hey, Tom, what's up?
Hey, I'm doing good. About the convention last Sunday.
Go ahead.
Now, my point is this. In terms of right now, the way the ticket is, all right? You got Whitmer for governor, and you got Dana Nessel for AG, and we got Jocelyn Benson for Secretary of State.
Right.
You know, people are whining and crying, talking about, well, Steve Hood on Facebook about, where's the diversity? And I'm going like, you know what? Pat Miles, who was my candidate of choice for AG, and, you know, the UAW and all the people that endorse him, they were out-hustled by the Nessel team, okay? So, he's no longer there. She's it. Jocelyn Benson, for all practical purposes, she was unopposed. Now, we go to the governor's situation. At present, we've got Miss Whitmer out in front. And, you know, I've heard people say, well, can this three-headed woman ticket win? I'm going like, yes. You know, it can win.
Yeah, I agree.
Then, you know, you get some of these, and I'm going to use the word, you get some of these idiots who are talking about, well, there's no diversity on the ballot. I will be so glad when we can get beyond and past this ethnicity and this black thing. Because guess what? In terms of the way the ticket is right now, and you heard it said Friday in the radio studio, I think I might fit this out. You don't have an alternative. The only alternative you have is to stay home and don't vote.
Right.
And if you stay home and you don't vote, guess what? We got 4 more years of Republican reign coming from the governor's office.
Right.
Because things might change for 8 in Secretary of State. But you've still got that Republican snakehead on the body. All right? And then folks want to sit around and moan and complain about what's not being done, what they don't like. You know what? If you don't vote, if you abdicated your responsibility because of quote-unquote there's no diversity on the ticket, you don't have a right to say anything about what goes down because you abdicated your responsibility to possibly make it where we have a new head, meaning a Democratic head in office to go.
Well, listen, let me say this, too. Listen, I understand people want more diversity. I understand people want more people who are African-Americans or Latinos or who are Asian or who are Chaldean or Middle Eastern on the ticket representing that. I totally understand that. I don't think that anybody who advocates for that is idiotic or anything of that nature. But I do understand. But I don't think that just because we have women on the ticket doesn't mean that we can't win. I think that we have the right message. I think we have the right people, and I think that if we reach out to enough people and talk to them, I think we can win. I think there's some work that needs to be done. I think with Dana Nessel's campaign, though, I think this is more of a generational shift more than anything else. And I don't think that everybody who was with the UAW voted for Pat Miles. I don't.
No, you're right.
I think there's a lot of people there with the UAW, that or maybe not all of them, but a significant chunk that went with Nessel. I really do. I think that she reached out to where a lot of people are. Look, this ticket represents where the party and really where the country is going.
Yeah, because I mean
demographically.
Right.
And you know, and I think that's where not necessarily in terms of the identity aspect of it, but in terms of the issues aspect of it, in terms of ending the drug war or the prohibition of marijuana, in terms of
LGBTA rights.
Right.
In terms of independent prosecutions for people who who commit these acts of violence against our young unarmed black men and women. You know what I mean?
Yep.
These are things that she, I think, was speaking to and representing and built enough of a coalition to get behind her. And I think the progressive wing of the caucus, the Bernie wing of the caucus, I think also support her as well. I think where we need to be careful as black folks is that we need to reach out to them to make sure that our agenda is at the table. Because right now, I think the problem with the Sanders wing of the party is it's all economic, and they don't really talk a lot about in terms of in terms of issues affecting African American people, in terms of police brutality, in terms of unemployment, in terms of education, you know what I'm saying, in terms of incarceration, and that's what Nessel did. Nessel did that. Maybe not to the tune of what everybody liked, but Nessel did that. She reached it, and so I think that's what we need to start talking to her about in terms of how we move forward. So, go ahead.
Yeah, but but like I said, I mean, what Jim Brown asked Richard Pryor after he set himself on fire, what you gonna do? I mean, what are, and I'm going to use the word we, what are we going to do?
Good point.
Bottom line is, we cannot afford to spit home. All right?
That's right.
Because from what I can understand, shooting worse than sniping.
Yeah, you don't want shooting in there.
So, folks in the listening on, you tell your friends who are talking about not going to vote for the government, you better vote, because guess what? And I'm sounding like a broken record right now. We're going to get continuing of 4 years of Republicanism, and we know what that has led us. We need to go further than up the road at Clinton.
All right, man.
I'll bid you a fond adieu.
Well, listen, I love you, brother. Appreciate your call. Before I go, I got to make this announcement. You are cordially invited to Bethel AME Church to celebrate the life of Mother Orcelia Cunningham as she celebrates 100 years of life. The celebration continues as Bethel AME Church celebrates its 177th year serving God's people, and the April Birth Month Club will also celebrate birthdays. It's Sunday, April 29th, 2018 at 10 a.m. The historic Bethel AME Church, 5050 St. Antoine, St. Antoine, Detroit, Michigan, at Warren and 75. That's Sunday, April 29th, 2018, 10:30 a.m. at the historic Bethel AME Church at 5050 St. Antoine, Detroit, Michigan, at Warren and the 75. Please come out and celebrate with us our morning service. You can call Miss Raynell Cunningham, 313-445-5619, 313-445-5619. Also, come here, WHPR 160 Victor, sign my petitions to help me get on the ballot. They right here. We go. The filing deadline is Tuesday. So if you come in on Monday, you can get your signature on my ballot. Listen, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I am your state senator, soon to be your next congressman of the 13th District, Coleman Alexander Young II, saying God bless you. We'll see you right here next time on The Young Effect.